What's better than a slider? No, it's not two sliders, it's a motorized slider. And before you start judging me about how lazy I am to push the camera along the slider, know that it can sometimes take me 10 to 15 minutes to record a bit which will show for like 5 seconds. Even for a 3 minutes long video, these numbers add up, not to mention the time it takes me to review all that footage. Motorized slider to the rescue.
What I got here is Foton Varanus, designed specifically to go along with the Kameleon slider, which I talked about in one of the previous videos. It's a belt-driven design with a motor powerful enough to operate at literally any angle. When you take everything out of the box and lay it on the table, the number of pieces of this puzzle can be quite overwhelming, but once you wrap your head around what is what and where it goes, it all starts to make perfect sense. User manual, although far from being perfect, is pretty helpful here. Installation starts from removing the Kameleon's bumper limiters, which are held in place by 2 flathead screws each. Next, screw in the limiters that came with Varanus, remembering that these are not the same, so make sure to screw the one with the belt tensioner at the parking spot end of the slider. Then unscrew the parking brake, position the Varanus motor in place, and use the brake screw to bolt it onto the cart. Take the belt and lock it in place on one end with the teeth facing down and thread the other end under the cart. Route the belt around the motor and rollers, fix it onto the other limiter and tighten it by turning the belt tensioner bolt once or twice. As long as you don't position your slider vertically, it doesn't have to be super tight. Now let's move on to the controller unit. You can either mount it to the slider's foot or the slider itself, or use a different mount to fix it onto the tripod's leg. Both options feature a quick release mechanism, so it's more convenient to disassemble and assemble everything back and forth. And finally, it's about time to connect the motor. Plug in the 5-pin connector and screw in the outer ring to make a secure isolated connection. Plug in the power supply and you're good to go. Press the big green button and in less than 2 seconds, Varanus is ready to take your orders. Use the plus and minus buttons to position the cart. Press and hold the OK button to set the end position. Then again, use plus and minus buttons to move the cart to the starting location. Adjust the cart's velocity and ramp-up speed and press OK to send the Varanus on its first totally unmanned mission. Yes, it's that easy. And just in case you forget the procedure, there's a cheat sheet on the controller with step-by-step instructions on how to program a track. Once the cart reaches the track's end, press OK to move it to the starting position and again OK to set it off. Varanus can carry quite a bit. When it comes to exact numbers, you can put as much as 6 kg of weight when moving horizontally, or half of it when operating vertically, which is still quite a lot. The controller unit also features a shutter release cable connector, which makes shooting time in hyperlapse movies so much easier, but I'll cover that in detail another time. Industrial design and heavy-duty materials are a clear sign that Varanus is built to last. I accidentally dropped the controller unit on the floor and it remained fully functional with a barely noticeable scratch. The controller is water resistant and can operate in really harsh weather conditions with temperatures ranging from -10 to +40 degrees centigrade. The rigid construction comes at a cost, which is weight, around 500 grams for the motor and 630 grams for the controller unit. This is something you must take into account before mounting the slider onto a tripod. Before proceeding, estimate the weight distribution and preferably use dedicated supports just to make sure the tripod doesn't collapse when the camera slides from one end to another. Working with Varanus is an absolute delight. Programming the track is very intuitive, and with the looping feature enabled, it's like I have my very own cameraman who's never late for work, doesn't complain about work conditions, and never asks for a raise. I gotta admit that repositioning the entire assembly and reprogramming the track does take some time, but once you're done, all it takes is one run to take a perfect B-roll shot. Unless you forget to push the record button, then you'll need another go. Angle shots is where Varanus absolutely shines. Such scenarios require increasing motor power. Press the M button to enter controller's menu. Use plus and minus to cycle through options and press OK once you get to settings. Again, switch through available options using plus and minus and press OK at motor power to change the setting. Press menu to move the cursor to the left, and plus and minus to change the value from the default 20 to something between 30 and 50, depending on the angle and on the weight of your camera gear. Just to give you a perspective, 35 is enough to move a Nikon D3300 vertically. You can save the settings, so readjusting the motor power before shooting at different angles is only a matter of loading those presets. You can save as many as 10 of those. Then proceed as usual with programming the track and setting the speed and ramp up level. If you want to make those angle shots on the tripod, you'll need a head capable of sustaining all that weight, and preferably a support or two just in case. For those angle shots, I usually bring out the big guns. Foton's Magnesium Series tripod, capable of supporting as much as 40 kilograms, can easily embarrass most of the tripods out there. It's a bit cumbersome to work with, but it's extremely solid, so I have no problem trusting it with all that expensive camera gear. What to do when you're done shooting? Kameleon case is large enough to accommodate the slider with the Varanus mounted onto it, so you don't need to disassemble it and assemble back and forth every time you want to use it. I'll be concluding this with a little preview of the upcoming follow-up video on Varanus. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.